Hey, this is Jeff again with Evil Hollow Ventures, ReGuideService.com, or ReIGUIDESERVIC.com. Want to do a real quick video and talk about hiring trades and what are some of the things that you need to do and some tips, tricks, tip of the week type of stuff. There we go. We got, if you're going to hire trades, some of the things that you want to look for and make sure that you're utilizing is make sure that you're working with medium-sized companies. What I mean by that is handyman, do-it-yourself guys, guy that shows up in a little Isuzu pickup truck, great for certain tasks, right? And those tasks need to be sized appropriately. So if you have a small handyman company that you want to hire, that's fine. It's going to be based on the size of the task at hand. So if you have like a punch-out list, you want to hire someone that shows up, and the company is a medium-sized company. What I mean by that is it's not just a guy in a truck. You got to have some sort of backing, some sort of proof that they are a business, and it's not just some guy in his truck. Okay. The next thing you want to do is make sure that they maintain a social platform, right? Nowadays, social media, a lot of people can say it doesn't matter, or that there's a lot of business done outside of social media, and that is true. But if you have someone that is in the consumer business, especially in the trades business, they're going to have some sort of social media platform. And if they're not maintaining that social media platform, you're going to see a lot of advertising, spam, if you see complaints, or if you just see a lot of inactivity on that. It's something that shows that they're not really trying to worry too much about their social image or about what consumers think about them. And it's very important that people that you work with do concern themselves with what consumers think and say about them. So maintaining a social platform is one way to check to figure out what it is that they have going. Make sure that they're accredited. Doesn't necessarily mean not licensed. In the state of Texas, you don't have to have a license to be a general contractor. You do have to have a license to be an AC tech. You got to have a license to be a plumber, electrician, that kind of stuff. But there's accreditations also, right? Like, so what kind of accreditations can you get? Does this person have any kind of construction management degree? Do they have, what do they have? And I say this, and my accreditation is that, one, I've been in the construction business for 25 years. I started from the bottom and worked my way up. That is my accreditation. My accreditation is I started as a handyman. I did all the work as a handyman, did all the work as a general contractor, did all the work as a developer, got to the point where I was a consultant. I learned things incrementally by actually hands-on doing the job. Now, I also have additional accreditations. I'm an accredited inspector, a green certified contractor, and other things that make me have accreditations that prove that I'm actually investing something into my business. I'm investing something that's going to benefit my customers, right? Something that's going to give back to those clients. That's what being accredited means. Accredited means that not only do you know how to do it, are you willing to prove that you know how to do it, but that you've taken the steps to make your customers feel like they are getting someone that's professional and not someone who's just making things up as they go along. Owner makes time. Make sure that you can get a hold of the owner of a business that you're doing business with, especially if you're going to be working on your residence or an investment property. You want something that you can actually reach out and talk directly to the owner, someone that you can have a conversation with, address your concerns, because there's a lot of really good business owners that, unfortunately, by the time it trickles down to the people doing the work is not quite as up to par as what even the owner of that business would want. So if you can have a good communicative relationship and you can go back and talk to that owner, you're gonna have a much easier time getting things resolved. And time is much more valuable than money. So you want to make sure that you're not wasting a lot of time trying to get a hold of the people that need to be gotten a hold of, because the owner is going to make time for you. Make sure that they're insured and registered. Some people will say bonded. Bonded doesn't really help out the homeowner, the property owner, so bonds aren't really a big thing for me. That protects the city, that protects a lot of other, doesn't protect you at all. But making sure that they have general liability insurance, that if they hurt themselves, someone else gets hurt on the property, those things are important. But also make sure that they have either workers' comp or a sign a release for workers' comp. That way you're not held liable. If they bring someone out to the property, that person gets hurt on the property, general liability insurance is not going to necessarily cover that. You need something that's going to cover like injuries and people that are doing work on your property. And if you're an investor especially, you could be more at risk of them claiming that they were working for you, which would mean that even though you had hired someone else, and they were hired through that person, they technically were still working for you, and you just don't want to get into that argument. So having the releases and the proper paperwork outlined, very important. So making sure that the person is insured, registered, make sure that they are registered with the city. That's usually what that means in Texas anyway. Even though you're not licensed as a contractor, you can still be registered with the city. So whoever's doing work in your area, and make sure that they want to get the permits and registration and all that, because this protects the contractor and the trades, making sure that there's an inspector coming in to look at the things and verify that the work they're doing is good. It's great because it makes it so there's no arguments for the homeowner, the property owner, or for the contractor because a third party is coming in. I personally go out and look at properties all the time where I'm doing phase inspections and the property owner thinks one thing, the trade thinks something else, and I come in and can resolve that issue. And it goes back and forth. It's on both people's fault quite often. There's a lot of times where it's just emotional and it could have been worked out much easier if we wouldn't have gotten emotional. But anyway, I digress. Line item and detailed bids. And this is very important from any trade that you're going to work with. You know, if you say to the plumber, hey, replace all the fixtures in this property, and they give you a quote, and then you show them the kind that you want, and they say, okay, and they write up that bid, and they say, I'm going to replace all the plumbing fixtures in your property, and then they use a Delta faucet instead of Moen or some other brand, and you only agreed to that price because you thought you were going to be getting this exact brand name, which would increase the price, blah, blah, blah. You need to make sure that there's line item and detail. How many plumbing fixtures? They're going to be doing 2 shower fixtures, 1 tub fixture, sink fixture. Are they going to be replacing the lines and the valves underneath the sink? All those things are details that need to be written out. You can't make assumptions because, you know, trades don't necessarily assume that you know what you're talking about, but they also assume sometimes to the benefit of themselves. And we get back to that knowing the owner thing, right? Like if you hire a general contractor, for instance, you've made all of these specifications with them, but then their plumber comes in and starts putting in a different faucet or a different fixture than what you had thought you had agreed to. Being able to call that owner makes it a lot easier. So line item and detailed bids. Not only line item out what is going to be done, but timelines, budgets, types of materials, that kind of thing. The more details you can get, the less trouble you're going to have along the way. Makes suggestions to save money. I think that that's real important that you have a professional that you're working with in whatever trade it is. We'll go back to the plumber again. If you are going through all of these things with your plumber and your plumber says to you, well, you know, you were showing me all of these Moen faucets, and these Moen faucets are very nice, and here's your estimate. But if you want to go with this Delta faucet set and do all of these Delta things, here's how much money it'll save you. It's the same amount of labor. It's actually a little bit less in materials cost. And sometimes some of those faucets are much more expensive. The more expensive they are, the actual faucet, the more expensive it is to put it in because it's more complicated. Obviously, the simpler the faucet, the less the cost. You want someone that's going to be able to make those suggestions because your trade should be like a restaurant. You know, you're coming in and they're just giving you a menu of options, and you're picking what's best going to serve you, okay? And then the last one is good personality. You're going to want someone that you can deal with, someone that you can talk to, and someone that fits your personality. Whatever it is that fits best with your personality, it is going to be determinant upon what is their personality. And what I mean by that is if you like to joke around and BS and shoot the shit and high five and all that, you need to get someone that is going to be able to handle that. If you're kind of aggressive and pushy and want things done, you need to deal with someone that's going to be able to handle that. So addressing the needs emotionally throughout the project, especially if it's going to be a trade that you're going to be working with for a long period of time, you know, months, you're going to want someone that you can work with. They might not necessarily have the same personality as you, but a personality that you can work with. And so making sure that they have a good personality, it is going to mean something different for every person, but addressing the types of personalities that you prefer to work with and that best serve you and your time is going to be the thing that helps you the best. I hope that these tips right here, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tips to hiring someone. I probably could have included 2 more. Never pay all of it up front. That's a number 9. And, you know, putting down a deposit isn't really that big a deal as long as you've properly qualified. You can't expect all of these trades to finance your project for you until you can afford to pay. Anyway, that's 10. Be blessed. Bless others. ReGuideService.com. ReiguideService.com. Later.